Kenjaku's big brain energy, Sukuna's original body, Gojo being unsealed is getting built up, and much more to break down in today's Jujutsu Kaisen video. Beginning with the front page, which states this: the prison realm houses the strongest, but that now sleeps somewhere unknown. Once again, confirmation that Gojo still slaps current Sukuna. You heard it here first. We get to confirm that Sukuna did in fact give Kenjaku his points, with Kenjaku currently having 309, so pretty impressive stuff. But what does he actually use these points for? It's kinda wild and something I didn't really expect to see. Let's break it down. First, he tries to do this: prohibit new players from joining the Culling Games. However, that was rejected because it conflicts with a current rule, Rule 7, so Kogane rejects it. I'm like, okay, what's Kenjaku trying to do here? He proceeds to do the following, which is pretty wild. He states the exact same thing: prohibit new players from joining the Culling Game, then adds this when directly talking to Kogane. If you refuse, I will destroy this pure barrier and forcibly end the Culling Game, which he calls a bug. I'm intentionally introducing a bug. Man really thought through everything when it comes to everything in the Jujutsu Kaisen world, even adding little loopholes into the whole system of the Culling Games. As due to the main goal of the Culling Games for it to last as long as possible, Kogane needs to decide the best option to prolong it. As such, his rule is accepted. From right now, no new players will be allowed to join the Culling Game. But he adds one more rule which is even more interesting. When all players aside from Geto and Megumi are dead, the Culling Games will end. With this being accepted, meaning once only Kenjaku and Sukuna are alive, that's when the Culling Games will end. Which means we're technically entering the climax, the big final battle, as Kenjaku and Sukuna are going to try and kill everyone else, preparing us for the big battle, as I'll explain shortly. But before that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, it's greatly appreciated. Also leave a like, it does truly help the channel out. I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. So we pretty much have absolute confirmation that Tengen is just going to be on Geto's side at this point. Geto's going to be controlling every action Tengen actually does. As kind of expected, ever since his introduction, he was very sussy. I expected them to fail in protecting him, so to be expected if I'm being honest. They just pull up on Sukuna's original body and they're just going to take it as a souvenir for Sukuna himself, which is pretty interesting stuff. I don't know if this will play a role in the future of the story. Maybe Sukuna, upon getting forced out of Megumi in some way, can go back into this body. Who knows? Don't completely forget about this. It could come back and play a major role. They call it just a souvenir, but it could have another purpose potentially in the future, as it is still seeming like it's intact, even though it's in like mummy form. Who knows, but I wouldn't be surprised if this has some importance in the future of the story. Now, coming back to the good guys who are all together, we see Maki who says this: as long as we beat Kenjaku and Sukuna, we win. As I said before, that's pretty much the main goal at this point. Also claiming that she does believe Gojo is going to come back, so absolute faith in that, which is of course good to see. The opening panel of this chapter did show the prison realm and the mention of Gojo, with us getting more information about that later in the chapter. We get to see what actually happened to the angel. If you don't know, it was kind of assumed she was killed in her like fight against Sukuna. However, it's confirmed here that she's still alive, she was saved by this guy, and that she would have actually died if he wasn't there, which would not be good, but the angel's here, everything's fine regarding that. However, they are not able to fight in their current condition, which is unfortunate, and they don't have the same ability as Sukuna to pretty much jump their soul into different people. Only Sukuna seems to have that ability, or as she states, the Fallen. And if you don't remember, the angel is the key figure who's going to be able to break Gojo's seal, with Yuta even mentioning this here again. All we can do now is break the seal of Gojo, so once again, building up for that crazy climactic moment. If you don't know, this is how many days Gojo has actually been sealed for. Pretty wild stuff. He's being sealed for longer in the Jujutsu Kaisen manga than what he was actually shown for, which I didn't really think was the case, so that's pretty crazy. And then the final huge reveal we got during this chapter is what's going on with our boy Yuji. None of his scars from Sukuna remain, only his iconic one he got from Mahito. But what is going on with him now? We got some little hints and pretty much clarification regarding Yuji's current power and what he's actually capable of and why he's actually so strong. Pretty much it goes like this. He's a cursed object that has been soaked in the cursed energy of Sukuna. That's where he's gotten all this power from. From what we currently know, or from what the characters in the JJK world assumes going on with him, of course there could be much more. We also get it implied that he's already consumed his brothers. We have this panel with Yuji looking very menacing, saying, "If it'll kill him, I'll eat anything." Him of course referring to Sukuna. And then later when he's talking to Choso, he says this, "Don't worry about it. No, I mean about the brothers, it's fine. As long as they live on inside you, that's enough." So I guess Yuji has consumed his technical brothers already. Not too sure how to really explain this or what's going on with that, but it seems to be the case, so most likely once again another amp for Yuji's power. And then the chapter pretty much ends with more stuff about Gojo, how they pretty much need him for survival and, you know, come back to finally end this arc. So we're just waiting for the return of Gojo. In the meantime, we have everyone building up their strength. Everyone's here. We have Panda, we have that guy. The big battle is finally getting ready, which of course naturally leads us with the question of who is going to be fighting who. Let's say Gojo isn't going to be unsealed until the climax after the initial final battle here. We have Yuta's big setup fight against Kenjaku ever since, you know, Yuta made his appearance in, you know, the main part of the Jujutsu Kaisen story. So Yuta in a 1v1 against Kenjaku is very likely, but would he be able to actually succeed in that way? Maybe if Yuta was to be defeated by Kenjaku and then teaming up with maybe someone like Hikari to take out Kenjaku could be the way it kinda goes. I get the sense we won't really just have Yuta defeating Geto again or Yuta defeating Kenjaku in the same way that he defeated Geto. I don't think we're exactly going to see that again, but I definitely expect Yuta to be fighting Kenjaku in this battle. And then we could pretty much have everyone else focusing on Sukuna. Maki and Yuji, we already saw what they were capable of fighting Sukuna. Yes, while being powerhouses, they aren't really able to keep up with his current state, with Sukuna just being outright stronger now. We do have Hikari here who should be on their level, and maybe in his, you know, glorious gambling jackpot mode, he could be even above them. That could be a pretty wild fight. But even those three and then all these other characters, I don't even know if they will be able to handle Sukuna. All these characters should be able to handle the likes of Kenjaku, but Sukuna is the real issue where they definitely need Gojo to have a chance in my opinion. I don't really think they're going to be able to do it. Of course we have the other sorcerers who they befriended like this guy and him who will most definitely come back for this final battle. But the climax seems to be approaching very shortly, so I'm very excited. This is probably going to be the greatest battle we've ever seen in the series thus far. So let me know your thoughts of everything down below. But that's pretty much everything for today's video. Laters.